Good evening, and welcome to the regular meeting of the Council of the City of Long Beach, held Tuesday, July 18th, 2023. We now have a roll call. Councilmember Postoli is absent. Councilmember Lester.
Here.
Councilmember McGinnis is absent. Vice President Treston.
Here.
President Bendo.
Present.
Let the record indicate the presence of Acting City Manager Ron Walsh and Corporation Counsel Dennis Cohen. Will now have a salute to the flag.
Ask our Corporation Counsel to lead us.
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our second meeting of January. Hopefully you didn't have to swim here.
January.
July, sorry. Some people may wish it's January with this heat. But I hope everyone's having a good summer so far. Mother Nature's being a little uncooperative this year, but this is the time of year we wait for. So let's get started, and we'll start with our city manager report.
Good evening, everybody. A couple of things on the city manager's report I wanted to make everybody aware of. You recall last meeting we had advertisements out for a gun buyback program that we were doing for the city, in the city, over at the Evangelical Revival Community Church over on National Boulevard. We held that gun buyback this past Saturday, and it was a terrific success. We wound up taking 31 handguns off the streets. One of them was a ghost gun. If anybody doesn't know what a ghost gun is, it's a weapon that is manufactured in such a way that the parts are put together from several different places, and it's an untraceable weapon. We also got an assault rifle, sawed-off shotguns, 7 long guns. So we did very well. We got 39 weapons off the street. It was the first gun buyback program we had done in the city for about 6 years, I believe. We are already working with the district attorney's office to try and plan another one. Interestingly enough, or a good piece of information is pretty much 100% of the weapons came from the city of Long Beach. A lot of times we get people that come when you do these things from Pennsylvania and other states. They bring in weapons that they pick up garbage weapons, and they look for these things to happen, and they kind of show up and just take local money, and it's a bit of a business sometimes. That really didn't happen this time, and it was a great success. So we got a bunch of weapons off the streets, unwanted handguns, unwanted shotgun, firearm, and assault rifles that to help to keep the community a little bit more safe. There's a couple of other announcements I'd like to make regarding the city. Our beach concert series is up and running this Wednesday, the 19th. Joey and the Paradons will be playing at the Grand Boulevard on the beach. We have a blood drive also on Thursday, July 20th, on the second floor of the Magnolia Center. Our current responses for the blood drive are a little bit lower than we would like or we expect, so we're hoping that we can get some people to register for that. You don't have to register. You can just show up to the blood drive. But if you'd like to make an appointment, we encourage that. The phone number is 516-478-5023, 516-478-5023 if you're interested in donating blood. And on Saturday, the 22nd, Movies on the Beach will start up again on Riverside Beach. The movie will start at dusk, and we're showing Super Mario Brothers. That concludes my... Yeah, I got a lot of that. Not really a Super Mario's guy, but a lot of people really like it. So that concludes the city manager's report. Thank you, President Bendo.
All right. Let's move on to the agenda. Just in case it might be anyone's first time, if you intend to speak at the Good and Welfare at the end of the meeting, you do need to sign up for that. There are sign-up sheets on the side of the room over there, and you just drop the form in the box. So with that, we'll move on to the agenda.
Okay, our first item is a public hearing for resolution granting waiver of off-street parking requirements for premise 966 West Beach Street, street floor.
All
You got this one, or you want me, not much for me to say about it, so.
So, probably the most popular dog in Long Beach, MacGyver's going to be happy. You're looking to open a pet food store. So could you just tell us a little bit about what you're going to do?
Yeah, so I'm opening a boutique, we're opening a boutique dog and cat food and supply store. It's going to be very small, obviously, because the space is limited. But our goal is to service the community and, give the dogs and cats in the West End a little bit of a home base.
Sir, can you just tell us your name?
Sure. My name is Angelo Ferrugia, and this is Jenna Perry.
What do you anticipate your days of operation and hours to be?
We're still working it through. Our goal is, 5 or 6 days max. Obviously, we would like a day off. And we're looking between, do split hours. The morning walk, which is roughly like 8 to 11 a.m., and then again in the afternoon from 3 to say 7. So have mid-afternoon kind of quiet like it is over there. So it's kind of just switching.
Okay. See, as a non-pet owner, I never would have thought of that. It's interesting.
Well,
Yeah.
they're walking their dog.
When they're going by your door.
A little puppuccino, a little doggy ice
Puppuccino.
cream while they're walking their dog.
Okay. Do you expect, like deliveries, what would you anticipate for deliveries and things like
Yeah,
that?
so I did fill number 6 out incorrectly. There will be deliveries, and we're
Okay.
anticipating roughly, once a week max.
Okay.
And it's really just to replenish the supplies.
All right. Is there any questions from the other council members?
So there you go.
I'm
Any,
just so happy.
by the way, I didn't say it, the public hearing is open. Any questions from any of the public?
Can they just speak a little louder?
Sure, I think he's done speaking, but
Sorry about that.
okay. All right, seeing none, I'll close the hearing, and why don't we vote on this now so they don't have to wait around?
Okay, so item number 1 is a resolution granting waiver of off-street parking requirements for premise 966 West Beach Street, street floor. Who introduced and move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second?
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Councilmember Treston.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes, and thank you for opening your business in Long Beach.
When will you be open?
Mid-August, hopefully.
I was aiming for first week, but we got a little delays.
Well, good luck.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Thank you. See you soon.
Okay, item number 2 is a resolution authorizing the acting city manager to purchase fire department system support software from the sole source provider.
Commissioner Miller, would you like to speak on this item?
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
The City of Long Beach and the Long Beach Fire Department have been in contract with the Alpine Software Corporation for over 20 years. Alpine Software is the sole source as the proprietary software vendor for our fire department and provides an electronic system of record-keeping inventory, personnel records, CAD dispatch reports, MDTs, and redundant backup for alerting fire department members using app-based programs. The cost of the operating system has increased to beyond our internal limit to pay the existing contract, and we're here today to pass that through. The current contract will be from December 18th, 2022 to December 18th, 2023. Funding for this necessary payment is available in the 2024 Fire Department budget account for contracted services. The total amount to continue service uninterrupted is $21,379.32. I request that the council authorizes payment for our needed computer dispatching service.
Okay, just a quick question. The contract, like when we renew it each year, does it include if there's upgrades to the system, that's included with the
Yes.
contract? Okay. All right, any other questions from the council?
No.
All right, any questions? Oh,
Yes.
sorry.
Hi, Joe. Joe, can you kind of track where we are cost-wise? I mean, last year was 19,000 something.
It was just over. It was 20,000 something. We were about $747 more
It
this
was
year.
20,000 last year?
It was just over 20,000 last year.
Why didn't we vote on that?
We did. It was in front of the council.
Oh, I thought this was the first time this was coming.
No, this is the second time.
Okay, all right, so. it was-
Unfortunately, prices are going up.
Yeah. Okay, and when we started, you don't know what it was costing us, do you?
No, I don't.
20 years ago?
Well, I'm just wondering, I mean, we've had them for 20 years, I'm wondering, you know, how much it's
Like from
going up a
100?
year.
Uh,
Something that
Do they have a
should-
percentage escalator in the contract, Joe?
No, it's just a flat fee for the 1 year. We have to renew it every year. So, no, I don't know. I could try to inquire and see exactly through
I'm just-
Alpine.
You know, it's something that we should keep track of, or what something's going up each year.
Sure.
You know, so, yeah, I would be curious.
Okay,
All right,
no
thank you.
problem.
Okay, any questions from the public on this? All right, seeing none, thank you, Joe. Let's move on to item 3.
Item 3 is a resolution authorizing the acting city manager to purchase towels and tissues from the lowest responsible bidders.
Okay, Councilman Lester's favorite subject.
So this is just basically, as you see in the backup documentation, there are various different types of paper towel products that we purchase, and the lowest cost for each one from each vendor was selected based upon the needs of the city. So it's a multiple vendor bid.
Okay, any questions from the council members? Seeing none, any from the public? Squeezably soft, so, okay, seeing none, on to item 4.
Item 4 is a resolution authorizing the acting city manager to issue a purchase order for the supply, transport, and delivery of concrete from the most responsible bidder.
So, Joe? Yeah. Well, it's basically
We do
just...
this every year.
Yeah, we do it every year. It's basically for our concrete needs for the city. They're all spelled out in the backup documentation as to what the fee is for each particular type of...
And Joe, Universal's who we were using this year, right? Oh, Elm? All right, so we're going back to Universal. Okay, we keep going back and forth. I guess it's whoever gives us the best price that year. All right, any questions from the council?
Joe, on, we use mostly a certain winter concrete or something like that?
Nassau A, we use mostly.
Yeah, I put together a little summary. We but generally, there's 6 categories in the bid: 3,500 PSI concrete, Nassau County Class A concrete, calcium chloride concrete, which is quick curing concrete, winter concrete. That's they add like antifreeze in the winter to prevent it from freezing. Short loads of concrete and concrete accelerator. The top 3, which is the 3,500 PSI concrete, the Nassau County Class A concrete, and the calcium chloride, are the 3 that they use the most and most frequently, and those are all cheaper than Elm. Okay,
But we used Elm last year, right?
correct.
You
Now
said-
we're going to be using Universe.
Are we getting that much cheaper concrete, or did Elm go up that much?
Well, just for example, the price this year, for this bid, Universe was $85 per cubic yard for 3,500 PSI concrete, and Elm was $179. So that's huge. That's a
And what
huge
was-
difference.
What were they last year, do you
Oh,
know?
that I don't have in front of me right now, unfortunately. I can just give you the prices from this contract.
Yeah, no, I see from this contract.
Oh, you have it, okay.
I'm just kind of curious how Elm went up, you know, more than double what.
Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't bring those prices from last
Okay.
year with me.
All right, if you have a chance, could you
Yeah,
get that
absolutely,
to me
sure.
sometime?
Of
All right,
course.
Thank you.
All right, any questions from the public? Okay. Joe, which ones do they use to make the cement shoes?
To make this, that's the Class A.
Okay,
The Class A.
all
Right
right,
off his tongue, so quick he answered that?
yeah. All right, on to item 5.
Item 5 is a resolution authorizing the acting city manager to enter into a contract for removal of accumulations of grit and grease from the water pollution control plant with the sole bidder.
You gonna,
This is a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter an agreement with Tully Environmental, Inc. to have grit and grease hauled to a permanent disposal facility. The contractor under this agreement hauls 6 cubic yard containers filled with grit and grease at a cost of $1,400 per container. For your information, we dispose of approximately 26 containers per year, which costs approximately $36,400. We have funding available in the operating budget for this exercise. if this is approved. And just so you know, we bid this out probably over the last 10 years. It's bid out every 2 years. Tully has always been the sole bidder. And generally, I believe it's because with this material, it has to go to a permitted facility, a facility permitted for disposal of it by the DEC.
So it can't be brought across the bed?
No, definitely not, no. You can't. This is very foul stuff that's taken out of the wastewater plant at the front end of the facility.
So do they have to take it out of?
It gets
Not
not automatically taken out of the system, and it gets dumped into a 6 cubic yard dumpster. So it's not handled by people at all. It gets put into this dumpster, and then the truck comes and hauls it away to a permitted facility. I think it goes to Pennsylvania, is where it goes, to a landfill in
Yeah, but
Pennsylvania.
what I'm curious, does Bay Park have to do the same thing?
I would imagine they would have to do the same thing. I'm not 100% familiar with their processes.
Do they use Tully also?
Tully's used all over Long Island.
So the only ones that do this?
Yes, I believe so.
All right.
So just so people understand, what we're talking about here is after you use the fancy toilet paper we're going to be buying, this is some of the solids that are left at the end of the processing of the sewage that have to be removed and hauled away. So,
So it's not really grit and grease?
it is.
That's what it's called.
It's called, you know,
I have other names for it, but
Again-
I'm not going to expound on those right now.
high fiber diet stuff.
Right.
So,
Joe,
okay.
you said we do about 20 of these 6-yard containers a year?
We do 26, approximately 26, about two,
One
it's
every
it's
2
about 4
weeks.
per month, yeah. Two every 2 weeks, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, any questions from the public on this? All right, seeing none, on to item 6.
Item 6 is a resolution authorizing the acting city manager to purchase traffic signs on an as-needed basis from the sole bidder.
So this particular resolution are for the signs that we have around the city, whether it's stop signs, no parking signs, curb your dog, no bicycles on the bike ramps. It's for all the signs that we can't really make in-house, and it's also for the blanks that we use for the signs that we can. Currently, right now, the way these signs are made, just so you know, they're made on a large-scale type plotter type printer that takes in the materials, the reflective materials, and it puts the wording that you want on it. Our current plotter is not really working for much of what we do, so we are in the process of looking for a potential replacement for that. But this contract, I think, was this one bid? Was this bid twice?
This was bid twice.
This was bid twice, yeah. So this one went out twice. The same bidder came in both times in regard to this bid. I know that Councilman Lester has been particularly driving the concern with regard to the number of sole bidders that we have in the city, and we've had numerous conversations with it. So we're planning on, emails went out today, I've had a couple of meetings already today. We're going to be reviewing our entire procurement process, not only for ensure that we're in compliance with state law that changes every year, but also to see if we can, one, be more of an attractive venue for people to put bids in, to see if we can get a broader base of the business world to bid on our contracts, and also to see how we compare best practice-wise with the rest of the municipalities in this space that are ordering as well. So we have been, Councilman Lester's been on this for quite a bit, really working hard to try and get this changed, and I'm probably going to be asking the council if they would consider doing a working session so we can have a discussion in public about this particular issue and see how we want to handle it going forward.
I'd like to say thank you to Ron. He's listening to me. I mean, anybody who's been coming here knows I've been kind of complaining about this for years. For some reason, Long Beach, on a lot of our bids, only gets one bidder. And I don't think that's fair to the city, and I don't think it's fair to the taxpayer. And to be honest, I don't know why that is. Because to me, when I look at signs, it seems like there are so many sign makers out there, and that we should be able to find another way to get the bids. But, you know, like I say, Ron is listening to this, and we're going to try to work on this. I have said that I can't keep bidding. I can't keep voting for single bid contracts. And Ron has heard me, and, you know, it's nice that something is going to be done, because I really think we can save some money on this. Ron, the one question, though, is, and Joe, it's probably your question, how much is this contract?
For your information, I actually spoke to the purchasing department before this meeting to give you an idea of how much we do spend on this. In 2020, we spent $16,147. In 2021, we spent $10,481. In 2022, we spent $22,091. And in 2023, we spent $34,248.
And if we had a machine that could do that, we would have saved all that money? Or
Well, we have them.
No.
They still have to buy the.
Yeah, so
the
we'd have to buy the
so to
blanks,
speak.
and we also have to buy the reflective decal, if you will, that goes on the sign. That stuff is not cheap. That's very expensive. So I've asked our Deputy City Manager, Rogers, to start to do an evaluation of what our price per sign for a given sign would be. For instance, if you look at the back here, there's a one-way right that they're charging us here $25.90 for. What would it cost us to create that sign? We would still have to buy the blanks for our sign, because we really don't have the ability to cut the aluminum to size. We buy the blanks, and then we put the sign on the actual signs, the actual blanks themselves. So we're going to do an evaluation with that. If it turns out to be more cost-effective to spend these plotters are not cheap. They're $75,000 to $100,000 for these particular plotters, because they're specialized equipment. If it pays for that, we'll do that. If it doesn't pay for that, we'll come back with that evaluation to the council to make another
Is there
decision.
any way we could work with, let's say, Town of Hempstead or Nassau that do have these big sign shops?
So it's actually interesting that you say that. Like, I know the county's sign shop is constantly battling with the same thing, because they don't want to spend, theirs is a much larger plotter, it's more expensive. It's the cost of materials. We could call and ask if there's any sort of municipal sharing agreement, but I will say that this city has a tendency of being very reactive and very nimble in its responses to public requests. If somebody asks for please don't, no bikes on bike ramp sign, we'll have that sign up within 2 weeks. Most times less than 2 weeks. I've literally sent a message to Tommy and Randy Opiad, hey, can we get a sign up? No problem, take care of it, and then the next day the sign is up. We try to be that quick with it. If we're getting ourselves into the bureaucracy of another agency, they take care of themselves before they take care of us. So we can look at it, but the level of service that the city is accustomed to might suffer too. But we can ask to see if it would save money.
Yeah.
Certainly.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
All right, any questions from the public on this? All right, seeing none, on to item 7.
Item 7 is a resolution authorizing the acting city manager to increase the amount of a previously authorized purchase order.
Let me just get to it.
Okay, as Dave said, this is a resolution authorizing the acting city manager to increase the Carrier Corporation purchase order for the replacement of the HVAC system at the MLK Center by $31,618. On March 15, 2022, the City Council approved a resolution to replace the HVAC system at the MLK for a cost of $141,219. The contractor was Carrier, and they were retained through a Sourcewell contract. Similarly, on June 7, 2022, the City Council approved a resolution to install a new air conditioning system / heat pump system split unit at the Ice Arena second floor for a cost of $103,326.25. The contractor for that job was Premier Mechanical Services, and they were retained by piggybacking off a Suffolk County contract. Unfortunately, both projects, due to supply chain issues, associated with the pandemic, there were significant delays and lead times for the materials for both projects. The temperature in the buildings were over 85 degrees. Therefore, we requested that Carrier under their Sourcewell contract and under the current contract for the 140,219 install AC at the MLK, or temporary units at the MLK and the ice arena. The cost of that was $31,618 for the summer of 2022. We have funding available in the operating budget. Please note that both projects have since been completed at the MLK and the ice arena. So this was the cost for temporary AC for the summer of 2022 at the MLK and the ice arena.
Okay,
Any
questions
questions?
from the council?
So, Joe, this was already spent. This was already done.
The work was done last summer. This was
And the
temporary.
rentals, I'm talking about the rentals.
The rent, correct. This
Yeah, that was all
done-
last year.
This was the summer of 2022, correct.
All right. Any questions from the public? Mr. Hodge?
James Hodge, 95 East Fulton Street, right here in our great city, from Maple to Nevada, from the bay to the ocean. Was the funding for these projects, where did the funding come from? Any community development or urban renewal funds?
I think the funding for the, MLK Center came from CDBG, I believe, but I'm not 100% sure.
Oh, okay, so it's
thank you.
federal funding, right?
That's,
Yeah.
that's
Federal.
HUD, yeah, Community Development Block Grant, yes, county, HUD, yes.
Okay. Is there a possibility to get a expense report or a report where community development funding is expensed on, that the city is spending on?
That's not my area, quite honestly.
So the community development funding is all, we have reports that go back and forth with the county that actually allocate and show dollar for dollar where the monies were spent. It all needs to be approved by the county before we do it, and then they do a reimbursement for us.
Okay, so can I receive a report as a taxpayer, as a resident, just wanting to see what the city is looking to spend the money on?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we could provide that information. We could guide you on just filling out a FOIL, and we can get you the information.
I have to fill out a FOIA?
Yeah, generally speaking, to get accounting, stuff like that, we provide it all with FOIL. But yeah, that's no problem.
Okay,
to get the
because a lot of
information.
times I see, they say step to the side and they'll send you the email, but I'll FOIL it. Thank you. Was the funding at the rec, was that CDBG funding or no?
That was capital.
No?
Honestly, I don't recall offhand, I'd have to look at the resolution.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to make sure I put a request in, if I can just see where some of the funding is going.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like I know everyone would like to know. All right, so I'll FOIL it. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Any more questions? All right, seeing none, on to item 8.
Item A is a resolution authorizing the acting city manager to purchase calcium hypochlorite chlorine tablet briquette feeding systems for the water pollution control plant.
Joe? Oh, this is the modified one. Oh,
Yeah,
one
so,
second. Yeah.
hang on. This item has been, I have rewritten this item because this item, the item as written included the feeding system, which we are not looking for. We are looking just for the tablets. So I have given the council an alternate version. Do I have a motion to adopt the alternate version in place of the current version?
I make a motion to replace item 8 in its entirety with the new item that you made.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Voting, Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Councilmember Treston.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Okay, continue. I will post copies of this on the website on the agenda page.
So basically, Joe, you could say it or I could say this is basically for the chlorine tablets for the water purification plant out in our water department. They are a sole source in that they're the only ones that work with our particular chlorination machine.
Joe, is this a year's worth of tablets, or how long would this supply generally last?
Yeah, just for your information, the cost per 50-pound bucket is $162.30. Therefore, with that sum, the $54,000, we could buy 336 buckets, which is for the year. So
About a year's
that's for 1
supply?
year. You get 336 buckets for the year.
Okay.
50-pound buckets.
All right, any other questions?
Yes, Joe, this machine only takes these tablets.
That's correct.
And are there machines that take universal tablets?
That I do not know.
All right, because I seem to have found some. And it's sort of like the printers. When you buy a Hewlett Packard printer,
Yeah.
they sell you the printer real cheap so that you buy,
The
You
ink
know.
cartridges, yeah.
yeah. But you can buy off-market cartridges for half the price. So what bothers me is if we have a machine that only takes the tablets that they produce, we're kind of beholden to them to buy from them. And so whatever price they put up, unless we want to replace the machine. Could we look into a machine that can take any tablets or powder or something like that? So that,
My suggestion would be to wait. These unfortunately are relatively new. They're probably a couple of years old.
the machine
Yeah,
is,
I think they're like 3 years old or 2 years old. They're relatively new.
What do they cost? Do you remember about? Ballpark?
I think it was 60,000 for the 5 of them.
how much?
I think it was 60,000 or 65,000 for
Yeah.
all. There's 5. There's 5 at the facility, so they're about $12,000 each.
Right.
For the chlorinators that
Yeah.
are there now. So, I mean, my suggestion would be when we do this again.
I'm not saying do it now. I'm saying, what I'm trying to do is get us away from proprietary stuff. Because
No, I understand,
when you're in proprietary, you're beholden to that particular vendor. And there's not much you can do if they decide to raise their price and raise it again and raise it again and raise it again. And I'm not saying that this is a bad price. I wouldn't know if this was a good price or a bad price. I just don't like the idea of being only able to buy from one vendor.
Understood.
And so if you could look into that, it'd be
Okay.
appreciated. Thank you, Joe.
You're welcome.
Okay, any questions from the public? All right, seeing none, on to item 9.
Thank you, Joe.
Item 9 is a resolution authorizing budget amendment to the general fund budget.
This particular item is funded by the charitable donation from the Carvona family. The lifeguards are looking to buy a UTV or all-terrain vehicle covers at a cost of $750.
Okay, any questions from the council?
No.
Any from the public? All right, on to item 10.
Item 10 is a resolution authorizing publication for hearing of an ordinance authorizing financing for various capital projects in and for the city, stating the estimated total cost thereof of $18,501,200. This item is for publication only. A hearing will be held August 1st at 7 p.m. Item 11 is a resolution adopting an equal employment opportunity policy.
This one here is a state law requirement that we actually have this particular policy in place. Work was done by our Corporation Counsel Office as well as through a consultant firm. I don't know if you want to add anything to it, Dennis?
No, we're required to adopt an updated policy via state law. We're also required to have certain training done, which we're in the process of scheduling over the next couple of months.
All right, any questions from the council? Seeing none, any from the public? Okay, and on to the voting.
Oh, wait. Well, sort of. Item 12 is approval of minutes of prior meeting July 5th. Do I have a motion?
Yes.
Second?
Second?
Voting, Councilmember Lester?
Yes.
Councilmember, Vice President Treston?
Yes.
President Bendo?
Yes.
Now on to the vote.
Sorry, I jumped the gun.
That's okay. Okay. So starting with item 2, which is a resolution authorizing the acting city manager to purchase fire department system support software from the sole source provider. Introduce and move the adoption of this item.
I will.
Second?
I will. Oh,
Voting, Councilmember Lester?
Yes.
Vice President Treston?
Yes.
President Bendo?
yes.
Item 3 is a resolution authorizing the acting city manager to purchase towels and tissues from the lowest responsible bidders. Introduce and move the adoption of this item.
I will.
Second? Voting, Councilmember Lester.
I vote yes, and I have to commend the powers to be for the number of bids that we got for these things. What was it, 7 different bids?
Yeah.
It's really, the right way to do business. Thank you.
Vice President Treston.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Item 4 is a resolution authorizing the acting city manager to issue a purchase order for the supply, transport, and delivery of concrete from the most responsible bidder. Introduce and move the adoption of this item.
I will.
Second.
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Vice President Treston.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Item 5 is a resolution authorizing the acting city manager to enter into a contract for the removal of accumulations of grit and grease from the water pollution control plant with the sole bidder.
God bless.
Who will introduce and move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second.
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Vice President Treston.
Yes.
President Bendo.
I probably ate enough chicken wings at Billy's this year to fill one of those dumpsters, so, yes.
Item 6 is a resolution authorizing the acting city manager to purchase traffic signs on an as-needed basis from the sole bidder. Who will introduce and move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second.
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Vice President Treston.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Item 7 is a resolution authorizing the acting city manager to increase the amount of a previously authorized purchase order. Who will introduce and move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second.
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Vice President Treston.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Item 8 is a resolution authorizing the acting city manager to purchase calcium hypochlorite chlorine tablets for the water pollution control plant. Who will introduce and move the adoption of this item as amended?
I will.
I'll second as amended.
Okay. Voting, Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Vice President Treston.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Item 9 is a resolution authorizing budget amendment to the general fund budget. Who will introduce and move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second.
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Vice President Treston.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
Item 10 is a resolution authorizing publication for hearing of an ordinance authorizing financing for various capital projects in and for the city, stating the estimated total cost thereof of $18,501,200. Introduce and move the adoption of this item.
I will.
Second.
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Vice President Treston.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
And finally, item 11 is a resolution adopting an equal employment opportunity policy. Who will introduce and move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second.
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Vice President Treston.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes.
City Manager's monthly personnel report has been filed by the city clerk. Who will make a motion to close the meeting?
I will.
Second.
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Vice President Treston.
Yes.
President Bendo.
Yes. Okay, now we're going to move on to good and welfare. So just in case it's your first time, if you signed up, you get 3 minutes. Okay. And our leadoff hitter is Billy Rom.
Good evening, Council. I have a letter that I would like everyone to read. I am incapable of reading this letter, and I will have the young man read the letter to the public with some additional comments that may not be in print. This young man will read it for me.
Hi there, my name is Liam. I'll be reading this on behalf of Billy Rom.
Can you read a little louder?
Towing cars from the lot on Broadway and Laurelton is abusive to citizens. They require $300 cash at the scene to unhook your vehicle. What's the city's cut for this abuse? Does the city really need the money that badly? Especially a parking area hardly used at night. Allowing auxiliary police workers' cars to remain parked in a lot next to the ramp is telling everyone, I see other cars parked in the lot, so it must be okay for me to park there as well. This is like setting bait to the unexpecting, looking to park. Auxiliary personal cars should be held to the same standards as locals, especially if a 9 p.m. curfew is to be enforced for all. There's a simple solution to the problem. At the entrance and exit to the curb, cuts to lot, 2 metal barricades, each with large and clear signage indicating conditions of use, should be posted. Not like the small signs there. Violators should be ticketed at nominal, not abusive rates, possibly $25. Towing is much too excessive. What's the reason to force this lot to close anyway? It's only volleyball players or boardwalk users that might want to park. So what's the great emphasis in closing its use, if not to trick citizens into getting caught and paying hefty fines for a simple parking mistake? City officials must communicate with local citizens that have lived and serviced our community for decades. This is an unfair cash grab, and I hope for our local government to proceed with locals in mind, as this is our home. Please note that Billy personally lent a local woman $300 cash the other night to get her car unhooked. That's the kind of person he is. In addition, the Alpern family has owned the lot for a long time. I thought the city wasn't making any money off of this, but it seems otherwise. Is the Alpern family aware of this? Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
So, just to provide some quick answers to some of the things that were here. The Alperts require us, in order to use their lot, to have that lot empty by 10 p.m. every night, or tow the cars out of there. They do not want any overnight parking in their lot, period. The thing you're talking about, the signage, take that under consideration to make the signs bigger. I don't necessarily disagree with that as something there, but we're required to actually tow the cars out of both of their lots. They did not fence the Laurelton lot, but it's signed, and we tell people. The situation that you're actually talking about and the cost, no, we don't make money on a drop fee. Basically, what happens on a drop fee is something like this, is if an owner of a vehicle shows up after we've notified the tow company, which means that we've obligated the tow company to come to us, and by contract, they're entitled to their fee, we've worked it out with the tow company that they can pay what's called a drop fee. The city doesn't issue a ticket in those cases. We don't write the violation, and we also don't have the administrative fee. So the fines that would have been imposed for parking in the lot over hours were automatically waived that night. We adopted that policy when I first got here on a lot of different things, where like cars that are towed, for instance, when we put up the signs, no parking on Wednesday, and we put them up on Sunday and everybody parks on Wednesday, we have to move the cars out of the way. We don't summons them, we don't charge an administrative fee, they just basically pay the drop fee for the tow company. We don't have tow trucks that do this, we contract out with it. The city doesn't have the resources or the manpower to actually do this ourselves.
Understanding those points, I feel that when the auxiliary workers or the special police leave their cars in that lot later than 9 o'clock, it's telling other people, it looks good to park here, so we're going to park here. Now, without the knowledge of reading the little sign, they get called by the police and get towed. A barrier like the auxiliary uses around that lot when they have events, metal barriers, should really be put up at the entrance and exits to that lot with a sign on them, so there's no mystery.
That's not a bad idea, Billy. We could probably accommodate that relatively quickly with our new sign shops.
There's a mystery about whether they can or cannot be there. And I think there should be put in place place a way that there's no mystery.
So, just to be clear about it too, the actual signs are in compliance with what the Department of Traffic, the New York State Department of Traffic requires us to, but there's nothing prohibiting us from putting a larger sign to be informative. I don't
A
necessarily
larger
disagree with that.
sign on those metal barriers
Yeah.
blocking the exit and entrance would enlighten somebody immediately to the fact they shouldn't be there.
Yeah, I don't know if I would necessarily do it on that, because if we leave those barriers out there at night, a lot of times they get thrown onto the beach by people when they're having fun. But yeah, we could figure out a larger sign.
Well, I think there's enough patrol cars going around to curb a situation like that.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Rob Noble. Rob Noble, okay. Kathleen Sullivan.
Good evening. Thank you for the letter that you sent the other day. It really is not good enough, and it's a day late and $1 short. My first question is, in the first meeting that I was attended, and then the second meeting I was rudely taken out with brutal force, well, bully force, because I booed. Because we booed that the gentleman from Equinor did not give his address. I think that was unprofessional. I think it was unprofessional that I was booed because of my passion. James Lynch, who was a dear friend of myself, and also to my daughter with his twins. It was uncalled for. My first question. So in the first meeting that I attended, Mr. Bendo and everyone here, have you found out the last names of your council that you first wrote when you first did your first letter? As you only knew the names of their first names. As a Cravath Swanmore granddaughter of over 40 years, I've sought counsel, and I also know my representatives and my legal counsel on Wall Street. So have you found out their last names in the council that you did, or are you just using the regular city council?
He knows that name.
So the attorneys that we're using are Eli Ilbot, John Wagner.
Excuse me, Eli Ebot?
Ilbot, E-I-L-B-O-T-T.
Okay.
John Wagner.
John Wagner.
And Ken Gray.
Have they been successful in winning against renewables? Upstate, in New York, we need New York State lawyers. Have they won upstate?
I don't believe they've been
So
involved.
this is
I don't
their
believe.
first.
Ma'am, are you going to let me answer? Could you
Yes.
ask the question? I'm going to answer you. I do not believe they've been involved in litigating against projects such as this, if that's your question.
Okay, so I found lawyers, and I'm just saying that would probably be my first step as a compliance officer and a project planner, that I would say, oh, we need someone that's going to win a case. But I will move on. It was a statement. Second question. So the waivers of the ordinances that were granted, right? Equinor was looking for waivers from the city of all the Long Beach ordinances for boats, docks, waterways. How were given, because they personally, they're closer than federal waters, as we witnessed it.
I'm not sure what you're referring to.
We've seen boats very, very close. And have you given waivers for them to allow to actually take their boats?
We have no jurisdiction over that.
No, that's Nassau County Waterways, and so if they're within a certain, I think it's
They were in a distance close to our shores.
300 feet from shore, I think, don't quote me on that, they would need permission, but, that's not ours.
They were close to shore.
Yeah, I understand that, but we don't grant those types of permits. We don't control those waterways.
Okay. Well, they were close to shore, and I thought I heard the other night that as closer you get to the waters, that's local waters. But I'll check those facts.
Local meaning not federal.
it was federal, then state, and then it was local orders, as long as they were close.
Yeah, that's a Nassau County waterway, so, yeah. We would control the beachfront, like the walkable area where our swimmers are, and if we had somebody that was in danger, we would deploy, we'd call the town of Hempstead or the Long Beach Police Department with the Marine Bureau in the water, or the county to address that situation.
We have pictures of them closer to the beach. I'll submit that. When and why did the permits for the soil boring in Long Beach happen? If you said in the last meeting that we have no part of it, can I finish my last question? As I was really thrown out last week. Equinor, you stated had no bearing. I've actually called Public Works. I've also, and by the way, Hodge, I'll tell you how to do a FOIL request. I've done several FOIL requests, and I would like to know how, and I've called Public Works, how did they get the okay to even do the testing when you said you didn't want it?
So just to answer it, I know your time is up, those permit requests for the soil boring, I believe were given out in 2020, Joe? For the Equinor to drill those test holes, the 2020 or 2021. And that work was completed, and what you saw was us last week, was when they covered over the hole that they had previously bored, they didn't follow our specific directions, so we revisited it with them and said, you need to reopen what you did and make it compliant with what we required you to do. And it was Joe who caught that they didn't really cover it the right way. So we were just ensuring that the street was repaired so that it wouldn't be a problem in the future.
Well, my question is, which you did not answer, was how did
No,
they get
I did answer. I said the permits were in
how did they get
2020.
it in the first place if we really didn't
Yeah,
want it?
I can answer if you like. I
Yeah,
can
please.
answer. When that permit was proposed to us, I went to Corporation Counsel's office, and they basically said it would be arbitrary and capricious to not issue them the permit. So that's why we issued them the permit. We couldn't unilaterally just make a decision not to give it. We give hundreds of permits.
Not to me sometimes. Okay, but thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Janice Malkin.
Janice Mackin?
You have to step up to the mic, ma'am. Thank you.
Did you call Janice Mackin? It didn't sound like.
Yeah, I think that's who we
I'm
called.
sorry,
Yeah.
I said Malkin, that's what it looked like, the handwriting.
I've never been to one of these before. I was coming to support Bill. I've never been to one of these before, so I'm feeling a little uncomfortable. I came here to support Billy that I just met Saturday night. He was the gentleman that was out arguing with the police officers to try to help me. I was woken up, I overslept, and I missed the time to go out and move my car. But I made it down there with my keys. My neighbor called me and woke me up. Why I didn't wake up when the police department called, I don't know. Or they said they came and knocked on my door, I don't know. But as soon as when my neighbor called me, I answered the phone, I woke up. But anyway, I ran down there with my keys, and I said I was relieved, because last year I had this happen, and it was like $500. It was a whole big mess. And I was there like 5 minutes or almost 10 minutes before the tow truck even came. They said, it's too late, we already called the tow company. And I was pleading with them to please call and cancel it because I'm on disability, I'm on fixed income. I can't afford $300, I don't, and I said, well, when I realized the tow truck driver came over, and when he did show up, they told him to wait, not to hook anything up. They never even hooked up my car. But the tow driver stood there and said to me, if I don't go back with $300 or your vehicle, I'm going to lose my job. And I'm looking over, and the police officer that came to assist these traffic kids that were there, they were all saying, we really don't agree with this. We know this is unfair, but it's a contract that they have, that we have to, it's already in the system and it's going to go through. And, Billy, I don't even know his last name, he was kind enough to go and get me the money because all I had was $80 in cash at home. And so I just hope this, I spoke with Commissioner Walsh.
That's me.
Is that you?
I was
Hi,
going to say,
I'm
nice
Janice.
to meet you,
Oh,
Janice.
yes.
Very
Nice
nice to
meeting
meet you.
you.
I'm glad to meet you finally.
So I didn't even look
Yeah,
at your
that's
name,
okay.
I'm sorry. And I'm visually impaired too, so.
That's okay, me
well,
too. That's why I wear these things.
So anyway, you said you were gonna maybe see what,
Yes.
anything could be done, so I just hope that
So I
in the
think Ms.
future-
Treston would like to talk to you.
If you could give me a call tomorrow, or if your phone number is on,
Yeah, it's on the paper that
I'll give you a call tomorrow and we'll work on it, okay?
Okay. All
Thank
right,
you.
thank you very much.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for coming down tonight.
Thank you. William Depper.
Hi, everyone. William Depper, Long Beach, New York. I live at 315 West Broadway, the same building that Janice lives in. Our landlady just sold the building to new owners. They're working without permits. They even put 2 dumpsters in the empty lot next to our building. And I don't know, some towing company had to be called. I went out, next thing I know, with the tow truck and the dumpster were about 3 feet in under the empty lot. I guess they didn't realize that there was sand there too. But there's no signs in that empty lot at all. There's one little sign by the corner of Laurelton and West Broadway that points to the parking spaces in front of the auxiliary police trailer. Then there's other signs along the curb. There's nothing in that lot, and that lot covers 3/4 of the block, the 300 block at West Broadway. So I wish you would all go down there yourselves and see what I'm talking about, park your vehicle there, and see if it gets towed. You mistrust him because you're the disabled one. We're disabled. When you extended the curb and the parking area, you moved the handicap spot from in front of our building down to the end where the traffic light is. So she didn't even have a spot that she could even take in front of the building anymore. The blue lines are still there, but you took the sign down.
I personally didn't take any signs down, but I'm definitely going to go and look.
I'm talking about the city in general, and you represent the city. So, yes, you, all of you. Because you should really go down there and take a look at it. I sent a picture, a video, I went live on Facebook to Ms. Postoli. Unfortunately, Councilwoman Postoli, she's not here this evening. But you really should go down there. You were down there to promote the art, painting the back of the trailer at the by the beach passes. And this year, you don't even sell them there anymore. So please go down there and see what I'm talking about, because they're treating the people that park there that don't even know there's no parking there. You just have a danger sign when you're going in. Don't enter here, enter down further. But you'll see there's no proper signage from even the tow company. So people will think their vehicle was stolen, and they're going to call the police to find out it's in the impound lot. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Helen Alessi.
Good evening, Helen Alessi.
Before you get going, thank you for being another one of our participants in National Night Out coming up on the first Tuesday. It's really nice. Thank
Very excited
you.
to be a part of that wonderful event.
Thank you.
Helen Alessi with the Long Beach Latino Civic Association, and I'm here to do 2 things. One, to say thank you for something, and the other one, to complain about something. Number one, I want to thank the City Council for supporting Long Beach Latino in our SOFA program, that's Suburban Organic Farmers in Action program. We have a beautiful relationship with you in terms of giving us some space to have planters put in that were built by the high school students. They are accessible to all. And I want to especially thank Vice President Treston, because she not only guided us in making sure that what we were building was accessible to all, but also that she came down on our opening day and spent some time with us actually planting. So thank you very much, Councilwoman Treston.
You're welcome.
Secondly, I wanted to just make a statement and ask a question. Every year, the Long Beach City Council and Long Beach management put together these beautiful events on the boardwalk, concerts, and everybody comes out, and it's really wonderful, wonderful, unifying part of Long Beach. This year, due to the issue of money and space and time and all kinds of things, some of those concerts have been eliminated, and one of them happens to be the Latin Night concert. Now, the optics are pretty bad because it's right before the start of Hispanic Heritage Month. Secondly, if I count correctly, we had one reggae concert and calypso, and the majority of the rest are rock and roll. And I love rock. But, you know, I'm wondering how these decisions are made and how we could do this better. I understand we don't have money for everything, but yeah, this is harsh for us because we all come out and love to dance to salsa and bachata and the rest of that. So was wondering if you had a response. And thanks again for everything with our project, DC-funded project.
So I know that you've had numerous conversations about the particular concerts with John McNally and stuff, and none of the acts last year repeated this year. So it's always new bands each year is what we try to do. And I don't believe, John, that we had a Latino band that was not the same as last year that applied. Is that correct?
Joe will know better. It's not a matter of who applied.
I'm sorry,
It's a matter of fairness.
I don't know how I missed your beautiful head, Joe.
Yeah.
Please,
And
do
he'll
tell. I
jump in. I'll
apologize.
cede it to him because he's really he runs the concert series. But it's a matter of fairness. We used to have 4 concerts a week throughout the course of the summer, so we had a number of acts and a number of different talents that really, you know, was able to take advantage and come play to the residents and visitors of Long Beach.
Right.
That's down to 1 a week. And so we're trying to be fair to all of those people, and everybody who was last year, everybody who played last year, none of them are playing again this year because we're trying to give it to a different group of people. And I would argue it's not, there's 2 rock and roll nights. I'll pull it up right
Me
now and
too.
go through it. But I mean, but
You
it's
got
2, and it's not.
Eagles, you got Beatles, you got 50s doo-wop, that's rock and roll. You've got
Your definition of rock and roll
Well,
is very different than
it's
mine.
still rock. It's still 50s, 60s music is rock. That's 3 at least.
No, I mean, it's
you know,
I
it's
hear
not
you, and
about-
I explained it to you. There's,
You
you know,
did.
there is, if we did just Latino group, then you would have the Jewish community
That's
arguing
not
about
a-
stuff. That
that's
would be,
not an adequate
but it's, I mean,
response.
we're trying to play music that appeals to the largest mass of people, Helen. And
Joe,
we've had,
did you have anything you want to jump in on?
No, the only additional thing I'll say is that last year we did a lot of the ethnic concerts, and I had this conversation with you weeks ago.
Yeah.
We elected not to do any of them this year because we did them last year. So, and those rock and roll bands have all been waiting 3 years to get their opportunity to play on the beach too. So in fairness to them and the people that lobby on their behalf, it's 9 shows. I've get over 100 people pining for the acts that they want to see, and we're trying to keep it as fair as we can.
So maybe a heads up would have been nice to have, to understand what the process was and why it happened that way. And I would say reggae and calypso is ethnic. So you're
Okay.
saying there were no ethnic, but that is an ethnic.
I mean, Irish night, Italian night, Latino
Also-
night, Yiddish
also.
night, that's all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Helen.
Okay. James Hodge.
James Hodge, 95 East Fulton Street from Maple to Nevada. Thank you, Long Beach. Just wanted to say that. Just because Long Beach is so amazing and so beautiful, and it's the city by the sea, 35,000, swells in the summertime. May sound familiar. I just wanted to thank our great city for being great. And also, I say to all of the men on the dais, as women come up, if you look at a lot of the video, maybe not all those men, but some of you are a bit harsh sometimes. And I'm just saying this because it's my time to speak. Thank you. So, again, I'm saying this simply because, again, people want you to be able to be a voice to them. And when they come, some of them are very nervous, like the young lady that said. I'm not saying it happens all the time, but if I will be shut up by anybody, I will not be James Hodge. So whoever tells me, come on, this is me standing up for people that ask me to have a voice. And what I'm saying is that sometimes people are nervous. And again, I'm saying to our city leaders, sometimes they're nervous. And how you treat people, they remember that and they feel that. I even say that to you, John, sometimes about city council members, Liz Tristan or others. And so what I'm saying is how you respond to people, they feel that. And I just encourage you to continue, just let us do what we can to just continue showing our love and let people come and pour out. Even if we don't like what they're saying, just let them pour out, because it's their time as residents to pour out whatever they're saying, whether it's good, bad, we like it or not. Good and welfare is for them to pour out, you know. And again, I want to say for what's going on with the auxiliary police headquarters down east?
So at the current time, we have money to do an evaluation of what it's going to cost to actually refurbish that auxiliary building and bring it back to an operational auxiliary building, as well as our sign shop and paint shop. So it is, we know it's going to be expensive. We're going to have to do it over multiple years, but there's a design, an engineering design firm right now that's evaluating it to give us a map as to what we need to do in our capital project to do that. So it's not something that's been ignored. I don't know how it got to the point where it is now since Sandy, but I definitely don't like the fact that it's an empty building just sitting there.
Yeah, as a former auxiliary member, seeing that building.
Me too.
Yeah, I know. Seeing that building constantly down, and I know we have expert carpenters and workers here in the city of Long Beach. Some of the work I know probably can be done in-house. And
well, actually, with the evaluation of that, is it's sort of beyond their ability to actually do the work themselves because of the extensive work that we actually sat down as a group and talked to them, and they said, as a group, the people who do the work, that it would be best to farm this out because it would take us so much time that they wouldn't be able to do everything else for the city.
Okay, if you see a lot of 150, a lot of those workers did, which is sanitation, beach, highway department.
It's not a question of whether they can, it's whether they can and be able to do everything else.
No, I'm just saying,
Yeah,
I started in highway in '89. And again, a lot of the work in those buildings, you see it's immaculate. They did an awesome, we have some great expert workers
We
in
do.
the city.
I
And I
agree.
just know that our auxiliaries, they volunteer and give their time. So again, thank you, and also thank you for the gun buyback. We got 30-something
Thank
guns
you
off
for
the
the support on
street. And thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Tim Kramer. All right. Christina Kramer.
Good evening, Christina Kramer. So I had a lot of questions about Equinor, but I'm not sure if that line of questioning is relevant because my understanding is that you now have said that you're in opposition to Equinor, so I don't know how many of them are relevant. So I'll just start with some of the things that I heard. So first of all, I'm curious, the lawyers, Elibot, Wagner, and Gray, my understanding is that they were acquired for the Equinor situation as counsel for you, but I'm confused about the timeline because you asked for home rule in March, but wouldn't you have hired those attorneys afterwards? So who counseled you to,
I know the timeline.
yeah, who counseled you to,
So, to be responsive to that, our prior corporation counsel was working with the state as well as with the request by Equinor, and the advice was from our prior corporation counsel to move for parkland alienation so that we would have the ability to evaluate the project. So it came from our prior corporation counsel.
okay, but now at this time, do you all understand that our parkland was protected and that it had the best protection already and we didn't need to open that Pandora's box?
So with regard to that, I mean, the council's been pretty clear on that they're not looking to support this particular project, but there is an opinion that has been voiced that it might have given us a further, greater level of protection by bringing it down here.
And the other opinion is that it might be more vulnerable, so that...
Right, but those are opinions, right. So we went with the best opinions that we had from the
Well,
legal counsel
you
that
know
we had.
that the other projects didn't go through here because it was protected parkland, and now it's not if you have home rule. I'm going to move away from that.
There is no home rule, one, we don't
Not
have been
yet.
granted it, and two, there is no alienation. So there's been sort of a misnomer, just to clear it up. We didn't ask for alienation.
I
We
understand
asked
you
for
asked
the
for home
home rule so that we can decide for, this council could decide for itself.
Well, you asked for home rule so you can alienate
No,
and
so that
transfer.
we
That's
could
what
decide
that's
for
what the
ourself.
agenda item said. That's what I read, those words,
Right.
alienation and transfer.
I'm just explaining to you what it is.
Okay. Well, to explain that, I'm just curious, do you know that if Kathy Hochul is going to be vetoing that illegal home rule acquisition by Kevin Parker because there was supposed to be another resolution and a vote for that to happen?
We don't know if she's going to veto it, but today, the assemblyman and the senator followed up our letter requesting the governor veto it. What the governor does, we don't know. We don't anticipate that she would sign it now,
Okay.
based on the letter we sent yesterday.
Okay, thank you for that response. For the soil boring, you just said that that was from 2020, but last week when we talked about soil boring and Karen found the soil boring on Lafayette, the very next day, the Energizer put out a statement saying that they were going to be continuing soil boring on Lafayette and on Long Beach Road. And also, the person who lives on Lafayette said that they weren't cleaning up, that they were digging holes, and that they spoke to the person and they said they were going to continue to dig holes. So my question is, did you issue permits? And if you were against it, why would you issue permits? If you have issued permits, can you renege on them the way that Island Park is
Joe,
trying to put a
correct me if
halt?
I'm wrong, but there's been no new permits issued for any boring, has there? None. No
The
new permits
Equinor
issued.
people put out a statement.
What? No.
There's been no new permits, but I do have to correct you that the application, their permit application was submitted probably 6 to 7 months ago. It wasn't like 2 years ago. It was probably in the last, 6, 7 months or so.
I thought it was 20 or 2021. I could be
No,
wrong.
no.
That's why I said
It was
I
not.
think.
This was just to identify the composition of the soil and so forth.
Right.
I'm just saying, you said that you aren't allowing soil boring, but you are allowing soil boring.
No,
There's
those are
the permits.
prior permits. There's been no new permits issued.
There's been no new permits. There was one permit issued for soil borings.
Well, then you need to talk to Equinor because they put out that statement saying that there
To
will
be-
be ongoing soil
To
boring.
be honest, I really don't care what Equinor says. I know what this city's doing, and we have issued no new permits, nor will we be issuing permits for this.
There's definitely no new permits. That's 100%.
I don't really care what Equinor says. They can put out what they want.
Okay, thank you for that. And as far as the moratorium, I think everybody here agreed last time that you would be agreeable to a moratorium, yet you haven't signed my letter or even bothered to respond to my email, so I'm feeling a little bit insert derogatory comment. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Jennifer Seraphin.
Jennifer Sarafin, 107 Neptune Boulevard, Long Beach, New York. I sent you guys all an email. I want to, again, thank you for sending that letter after months of us all going back and forth. I do definitely appreciate the opposition, finally. Thank you very, very much. It is much heartfelt appreciated. I'm going to follow up with what Christina said. So we've sent the letter to the governor. Have we sent a letter to Equinor telling them that we're in opposition? And with that, do they know? Or are we just telling the governor and it's just out there? And if that permit has been issued, is there a way to rescind that permit so they know they're not allowed to soil bore?
Okay, so there's been no permits issued, no new permits issued. They're not boring. That's not what's happening. They were fixing an inappropriate way to seal up the macadam. We had certain requirements they did not follow.
Okay.
Our DPW picked up on that. They fixed it. They are not boring.
They will be stopped if
They are
try.
not boring.
Okay.
Okay, they're not coming into our streets and boring anything.
Thank
And
you.
we have had numerous conversations with Equinor, and they have been informed that I'm
sorry, they've been CC'd on the letter.
Okay, wonderful. So what are we doing now to stop because that bill was issued unconstitutionally, illegally from another district, what are we doing to stop another company from coming in and trying to do the same thing Equinor did?
So we don't have there's no plans that are filed right now or any landing sites or anything like that for another company to come through. We've had other companies that are interested in talking to Long Beach, but they are not the same type of project. So we really have it's been just, we're considering it, how would you feel? And it's been nothing. No real conversations.
There's going to be ways to protect us
Jennifer,
from
that
another
bill
situation.
was very specific. If you look at the bill,
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was
Not-
not done properly.
the bill, no, I'm talking about the way it was drafted. It was specific to Equinor, to a place, to boundaries, to
Okay.
everything.
Okay.
And it was,
nobody
it was
can come
specific to
in.
that project. You're 100%
So it
right.
should be pulled.
Yes.
Yes. So
Okay.
you can't, nobody can come in.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay. All right, folks, that was it. Thank you for joining us tonight, and I hope everyone gets home safe.